Coming to you from our Tower District studios inside the Mike Briggs building. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be live and local until right after 4:30 today, until just after 4:30, so stay with us. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Austin Reed On Air. Our first guest joining us live is Dr. Hedberg, Dr. Allan G. Hedberg, a clinical psychologist and author, along with a talk show host, another talk show host.
Yes.
You've had many shows here at Central Valley Talk over the years. So
yeah, we've done a show here on Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and I do a podcast, The Psychology Report. That's done every 3 days, so we get pretty active doing those things.
You're busy.
Yeah.
First off, tell me a little bit about this new book that just came out.
Better Parenting. Yeah, this is probably my 15th book, actually. But I have this kind of objective, is to focus on parents. And that was why I did the television show, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. And then I wrote a book on that title, Dr. Teach Me to Parent, which has been a very good seller, and people have used this book as kind of a guideline in their own parenting. So I really think parenting today is a critical issue, probably more so today than ever, because we get mixed messages, and the issues on kids today is great, and much pressure and much conflicting points of view, and so on. So parents need kind of a way to hone themselves in on being a good, effective parent. So now I follow this up with a current book called Better Parenting. Okay. Every parent's good. Every parent does, a reasonable job. Every parent wants to do well. Every parent wants to do the best they can. So here's a book just says you can do it a little bit better. There are some guidelines. There are some issues. There are some things that you need to think about. So you just become a little better parent. And as you become a little better parent, your kids will become a little better kids. I mean, that's the idea of the book. And so I've identified several things in the book that parents really need to take into account as they view their own parenting and obviously improve their own parenting, within the home and with their kids, and working with the schools and working with the kids in their church and working with the kids in the neighborhood and community and so on, so that your kids are not just your own. I mean, as your kids get older, they belong to the community, and they become part of the community, and the whole community influences them. And you need to have a good view of what you are as a parent and how you're going to approach parenting.
One of the things we were talking about just before the interview today is, and it's something that you addressed in your book, is spanking.
Yes.
Yes. Good, bad.
Yes.
I've got daughters. They're twins. They're 5 years old. Me personally, I'm against spanking.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I spanked once.
Okay.
I have 3 kids. I spanked once.
Okay.
And never have needed to do it again. But I needed to do it at that particular point in time, and it was an effective measure at the point in time for the occasion. Right. So it's not a good or a bad thing.
Okay.
It's just something that we just would prefer you not do.
Okay.
Because there are other alternatives. Right. If there were no alternatives, then obviously spanking becomes then the choice. Yeah. But when there are alternatives, and sometimes even better alternatives, then let's put spanking aside. Okay. I leave spanking for really 2 situations. One in which a kid is at danger. Okay. He's going to cross the street, and a car is going to hit him, and he's going to get killed. I mean, that's a danger point.
Sure.
You need to spank a kid so he doesn't do that. He gets the message. And a young child sometimes doesn't understand that. But a spanking kind of reinforces that whole issue of safety. And sometimes you need to do it for the safety of your child. Right. So there's a place for that. But then I think there's also a time when a child just is disregarding obedient, is disobedient, and just disregards you as a parent. And disrespectful to you as a parent, and just lives a life that is in danger for himself and others. Right. And there are times when you just need to kind of give a good little spanking to a kid. Okay. And that's sometimes in the junior high, even high school years, right. Where the kid is out of control and is putting himself and his community and his home and his family and others at high risk. Mm-hmm. Something needs to be done more than just a kind of a talk or reasoning with the kid, because you've probably already done that, you see. So when you come down to that, it's sometimes like a last resort. Okay. But there's a time for that. But again, you have to be careful so you're not abusive. Mm-hmm. Spanking is not abuse. Okay. We have to understand that. All right. It can be abusive, and it can lead to being abusive. But we don't want that to happen. Here's an example of that. If you spank a kid and he does obey, then there's a tendency to the next time when a kid misbehaves to spank him because it worked. Well, if that works again the second time, you're going to do it again because it works. Well, that's not good. I mean, because then you're relying on spanking as your mean of discipline, and obviously at some point the kid is going to resent you, for that, and you don't want that. So that's one of the things that's negative about spanking. Even if it does work, you don't want to rely on it because it's got negative consequences. The other is that if you spank a kid and he doesn't obey, so you spank a second time, but a little harder, and he doesn't obey. So you spank a third time and a little harder. Now we're into abuse. Okay. That's where abuse and spanking comes in, is that when you start using it and you increase the intensity and the frequency of it because you think the kid is just not responding and not obeying, then you are on that edge of abuse, and then you can immediately go into abuse, and now we're in trouble. Right. Then you're going to lose your kid, obviously, in both those kind of examples. So you can see where spanking can be good, but you can see where something good can become something bad.
Right. And really just trying to work on other ways?
I like you working on other ways. The book is really based on the premise that you use positive reward.
Positive reinforcement.
And we call that positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
That's when you follow a behavior immediately with something favorable, maybe a special treat, maybe a special privilege, maybe a special word of thanks and appreciation and a compliment. But you follow up a behavior pattern with a positive reward and reinforcement. That behavior will tend to be repeated. Okay. That's the behavior you want. That's the behavior you want more of. So you make sure you reward those kind of behaviors. So you become a rewarding parent, not just once in a while, but you flourish a child with a great deal of reward and reinforcement of various kinds. Every kid has his own choice. Every kid has his own preference of how he likes to be rewarded. Some just like words, like a thank you or appreciation or a compliment. Some need a special little treat of some kind. Younger the child, the more they like the little treat. The old M&M's kind of an issue, you see. But give them, use them. Make sure that you reward positive behavior, desirable behavior, appropriate behavior, behavior you want to see established. That's the behavior you target. And you want to make sure that you reward those behaviors. And you get more and more and more of those behaviors. Well, you don't have to worry so much then about all that negative behavior.
Right.
So it's your focus as a parent. Watch for the good behavior. Catch the child being good.
You've written 15. This is your 15th book now, right?
You're right.
What's your favorite book over the 15 that you've written?
Well, they all kind of become favorites.
Yeah.
Recently, I wrote a book called Deep Roots. Okay. And that was kind of looking to history. I looked at the lifestyle of people who have lived in history and what goals they lived for to achieve, what mottos they lived under, what codes of conduct, what creeds they lived by, what messages they were trying to convey to the world. So I have a whole book on deep roots, and that's why I call it Deep Roots, because that's the deep roots of America. Right. And it's what made America, is the people, and the lives they lived. And they have left an example for us, and they've lived, and there's a model now for us to follow. So that was kind of an interesting book to write, and
a lot of research.
It was kind of a good book to research because I had fun doing it.
Right? Yeah. That's
so I don't know if that's my most favorite, but it certainly is a recent one that I certainly enjoy. I've written books for different purposes and different audiences and different people. I bought a book entitled "Kids Alive" for children. It's not a children's book, but it's a book for parents to work with children. And I took about 15 to 20 words that every kid needs to learn, like the word no. Every kid knows the word, knows how to spell it, but he often doesn't know how to obey it, or the word thanks, or the word thank you, or you're welcome, to have good words that we use in our interactions with people. So I picked up those kind of words and then have a series of exercises to help a child learn how to use those words and incorporate those kind of words in his lifestyle. And yesterday I worked with a child who was 9 years old, and we worked on the word gratitude. So it's a big word, but he knew what it was.
He did, okay.
But he knew really what it was, and when we got through with these exercises of defining it, using it in different situations, having a game of gratitude that you play afterwards. So a kind of little book to teach children the critical words of life.
Yeah.
So I call it running the race of life, running the race of life through these kind of words that we need to learn, and parents need to teach their kids, not just the spelling, but the meaning. That's a different deal.
That is a different deal. People can check out your newest book. It's on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can get it at my website, www.booksbyhedberg.com.
Okay.
Better Parenting. And most people pick it up on Amazon, but, it's there, and along with the other books, you have a choice there. But when you look at the idea of just better parenting, think of yourself as being a parent that you can become better. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean that you're inadequate as a parent. It just means that you can sharpen your parenting skills. Like any student sharpens his skills in any area. Any executive sharpens his skills in leadership. Here's where you sharpen your skill in parenting. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about that. In fact, it's something good to be about.
Yeah.
Just hone yourself up and use that idea of positive reward much more than maybe you ever have in the past. Rely on it. Make sure that it counts, and minimize the use of punishment. It's not just spanking. There's other ways of punishing
Sure.
kids, taking things away, criticism, as a punishment. You want to minimize those kind of because they degrade kids,
Right.
and they agitate kids, and they promote kids to become aggressive and reactionary. We don't want that.
No, no. Dr. Hedberg, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That is a book, your latest book. That is one for me. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
better parenting.
check it out.
Pick
Yeah.
it up, man. Very nice. Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too.
All right, thank you. I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We'll be back soon. Stay with us.
JKH Career Coaching and Consulting, creating solutions in career planning, development, training, and placement. Contact Jackie Kennedy Harris at JKH Career Coaching and Consulting at jkhccc.com or call 559-307-7712.
Aqua Nails Spa is the most luxurious nails and spa salon in Fresno and Clovis. Our staff are friendly, courteous, and highly skilled. Come in and let us pamper you. Located at 1398 Shaw Avenue in Clovis, California, on the southwest corner of Shaw and Sunnyside. Also located at 1850 Herndon Avenue, Suite 111 in Clovis, California.